I've been fortunate to be able to set up just a wall outlet charger just behind me at the side of the house. There's a switchboard which we've been able to run a line to the wall charger, and then obviously you take a cable, which I'm sure we'll look at later, to connect to the vehicle. I looked at the options, so certainly while I haven't gone down the upgrade path, I did look at what it would cost to potentially run a 3-phase into the house. A little prohibitive, so I've stuck with the single phase line. I did look at where potentially, the vehicle would be best parked, the right cable length, whether the outlet should be, closer maybe to the front of the property. After discussions with the electrician, it was better to have the shorter cable through to the switch box, which I'm sure we'll have a look at. So from about 20% up to 90%, which is the recommended charge for the vehicle, it's about 7 kilowatts an hour coming out of the wall box. So generally somewhere maybe 5 to 6 hours. If you were coming from 0 to 100, you're looking at 8 to 9 hours. It's designed for outdoor installation. It has been installed in a relatively protected area, so it doesn't get direct sunlight. It will get rain and wind and whatever, but that's what it's made for. My job is in procurement, so I did quite a bit of looking around at various suppliers. Ultimately, you're probably going to be paying anywhere from sort of 8 to 900 up to 1500. By the time I looked at getting a longer cable, and we might talk about the cable in terms of its cost, but it's about $1,200, and then maybe another 5 to 600 to get it installed. We've had a solar system on the property now for the last 7 or 8 years, a small one. I've just recently had that upgraded now to a 6 to 7 kilowatt system, partly because of obviously having the vehicle and looking to offset the cost there. So ultimately, yes, if I can configure the charging through the day, then hopefully we'll have a zero cost going forward. I've got a work from home role, so I do have the flexibility of charging the car throughout the day. So I take that option. As I say, with the solar installed, it gives me the opportunity to connect the vehicle throughout the day and let it do its charging as needed. I mismeasured, unfortunately, in when I ordered the original charging cable. It came with a 6-metre cable. When it arrived and the electrician was here installing, we rolled the cable out and we were about a metre short. Thankfully, the company who I bought the wall box from allowed me to switch over to a 10-metre cable, and that's certainly now made it much more usable and reaches to the vehicle. We looked at potentially, running a cable through to the front of the garage here, and again, that was additional cost. You do need to put heavy duty wiring in. That's the nature of the charge and the rate that has to go through it. So that's why we ended up going with just a longer cable to the vehicle. I think I've said this to people, the vehicle's a smartphone on wheels. The technology in it is brilliant, but also you do need your smartphone. It's critical you have all the appropriate apps. PlugShare, all the charging networks have their various apps. That helps you understand firstly where they are, but also what their availability is. Are they occupied? Are they operating? And gives you notice before you actually turn up there. Even in turning up though, however, sometimes you find that yes, something isn't working, and you have to always have a plan B in mind. So don't get yourself in a position where I've got to charge here or else I'm gone. You trust the car itself. It gives you, sort of a map, not only of where you're going, and what charge you'll have, but what you'd have on your return. So, you've got a lot of notice before it starts really, becoming a problem. And I think, again, it's just a mindset with an EV now that, unlike, fuel or petrol stations that are scattered everywhere, the EV network isn't at this stage, so you just need to plan your trip ahead. Look, I think you've really got to look at, what driving you're doing. And ultimately, if you're doing a lot of long-haul driving, then EVs aren't necessarily there at this stage, be it for battery capacity and the network in terms of charging. But if you're just running around the city, or you're just commuting, or you're happy, to do a little planning if you are doing the odd long trip, it's a wonderful vehicle to have for a whole lot of other reasons. I think the thing that I would see is where you are going to a place where the vehicle's going to be stationary for a period of time, shopping centres, the logical ones, supermarkets, etc. Anywhere where you're doing something else for a period of time, that the car can be plugged in and charging. And work, certainly, if there is an option there to do that, then absolutely it's got to be the way to go. Again, I think, as I said earlier, in terms of the technology within the vehicle itself, that will continue to evolve, and obviously the technology of engines and batteries, they'll get longer, the efficiency will get better, hopefully charging networks, etc. But I think the integration with the technology to the outside world, and whether that's, knowing what traffic, real time, knowing what other vehicles are doing, connecting to other vehicles, etc. I know it sounds a little big brotherish, but it gives you the opportunity to hopefully get more efficient in terms of your driving on busy city roads and getting better efficiency from that. I think it's important you don't try and buy a vehicle that's not suited to what you're using it for. Now the technology is changing, and as I say, you're seeing batteries or EVs now getting put in very large vehicles and towing boats and whatever. Still not quite there yet, so if you're doing some of those activities or you're doing constant long range, then I'd hold off a little longer. But if you're driving around town and you just love the experience of driving something like an EV, hard not to go down that path.